So the other 15 teams agreed. Brendan Sorsby cannot play college football. And now that he's not, is Texas Tech our friend again? Are we all okay? What's happening with this league? This is Locked On Big 12.
You are Locked On Big 12, your daily podcast on the Big 12 Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Wednesday, everybody. Welcome to Locked On Big 12. I'm Drake Toll from America's #1 Big 12 podcast, Locked On Big 12. Thank you for making this show your first listen every single day. Ben Criddle, the ESPN crew out in Utah, joined them for an interview about Brendan Sorsby, about Utah, about BYU, about Colorado, about the state of Big 12 football coming off of the Brendan Sorsby news. So no clickbait, no like, oh, this guy's making up. No, here is exactly what you need to know about all 15 teams forcing themselves against Texas Tech and where we sit as a conference now, because the Big 12 needs strength together. We were all together on this, except for maybe the most powerful football brand we have. What does that do to the dynamic? If you hit subscribe, I get to keep my job. I'm not going to delay you anymore. Ben, crew, let's do it.
Let's talk some college football and college basketball in the Big 12 with the host of the Locked On Big 12 podcast. We got Drake Toll on the line. Drake, how you living?
Ben, I am great, and justice is served in college football, so it sounds like everybody else is pretty chipper today, too.
Yes, indeed. So this is one of those topics, right, that brought everybody together, Drake. Have you ever seen a topic, an event, a player, a team bring everyone, 99.9% of the collegiate athletic space all together in defiance versus something else, an entity, right? Have you ever seen something like this?
This is like the World Cup of college football. The entire country unites for one thing, and in this case, it was for Brendan Sorsby to not play college football. And look, Ben, the rhetoric out of Cody Campbell or Joey McGuire in Texas Tech that, well, Penn State did this, or Baylor did this, or this scandal, or that scandal. I think the difference with each of those, and the reason America was against those institutions in those moments, and those institutions were against those moments and those scandals. And in this case, Texas Tech kept defending Brendan Sorsby, and that's why everybody rallied against Sorsby, against Tech, against the situation. And you're right, America was on pretty much the same page with this one, and it was a harsh page, but ultimately, if not for the Big 12's actions, Brendan Sorsby would be playing football at Texas Tech next year.
Yes, indeed. So do you think this was Brendan Sorsby and his family's decision, because it seemed like institutionally Texas Tech was going to ride or die. Cody Campbell was going to ride or die with Brendan Sorsby.
Yeah, I do believe that this decision was made by Sorsby and his camp, and it comes squarely after the Big 12 decided to, in essence, sue Texas Tech, its administration, and the Attorney General in Texas, Ken Paxton. And the reason this all went down the pipeline, Ben, is originally the injunction had been granted by a Tarrant County judge in Texas, a Houston grad. And what happens after that is Sorsby expects to play. Joey McGuire and company, they go on the PR tour of, okay, he's going to play. Everybody be nice to him. He's got a mental illness. Everybody be kind. And Brett Yormark meets with leadership from BYU and other universities in the Big 12 Conference who say unequivocally, this cannot happen in our league. And Yormark's response is, okay, if the Attorney General in Texas threatens to sue the Big 12 and come full force at us, we won't even touch Brendan Sorsby. We'll, in essence, sue Texas Tech to find out from a federal judge whether or not we have the power as a conference to disqualify an athlete in our league, a member institution of our conference. Can we tell them, hey, so-and-so player cannot touch the field? And the second the Big 12 took this federal, Sorsby saw the writing on the wall and realized, oh, it's not a Texas judge. It's not a small town nice guy that I know. It's somebody, and not to say that Texas Tech was in bed with the Tarrant County judge, but it was a much better shot than going federal with this. Once the Big 12 said we're taking this federal, Sorsby understood there's a very good chance that the government rules in favor of the Big 12 being able to control student-athlete eligibility. The Big 12 Conference would have forfeited Sorsby's eligibility next season. He would have missed the supplemental draft timeline. And with that writing on the wall, he immediately said, okay, that's it. I give up. I'm going to the supplemental draft. I'm going that route, and I'm done with college football. This was squarely forced by the Big 12.
Pretty crazy to see Brett Yormark. How do you think Brett Yormark feels right now. Like, he was looking, praying, hoping, fingers crossed that there would be a team that would separate from the pack, right? He constantly and would just expound on the virtues of parity and depth and all those things. But deep down, he wanted a separation. And then comes Texas Tech, a villain of sorts, just pissing off everybody along the way, being just sullied in controversy over the last year. Like, there's been 4 or 5 different situations where Cody Campbell and Texas Tech and Jordy McGuire, or now Brendan Sorsby, has been maybe a bad PR, I guess, catalyst for the sport.
Yeah, Brett Yormark is torn on this, I believe, and ultimately what you had to do was value the 15 over the 1. Look at the other 15 member institutions and say, okay, what is the best interest of this league and what is the best interest of our other schools? I can tell you squarely that if this happens in the SEC, if LSU has this come about, or Mississippi State or Florida, the other 15 SEC schools don't go on strike. They don't throw a fit like this. The conference does not stand up for its members or stand up for what is, quote, right or against what is wrong in the situation. The Big 12 Conference had an opportunity to stand for morality, what it sees morality as in college football. And Brett Yormark said, okay, while I don't want to upset Texas Tech, they are the number 1 football brand, number 1 spending brand that we have in the conference right now. At the same time, I've got everybody else beating the door down of the league office saying we have to fix this, and it starts with you, the commissioner. If the NCAA has no control over this, you do. And Yormark took those 15 schools seriously. He didn't stand with Texas Tech. He did not stand with Brendan Sorsby. He stood with the rest of the league. That was, you take those 15, unanimous in their own boat of saying, we need Brendan Sorsby out of this conference and law and order in college football. Yormark obliged to that. He hired a top-notch, I guess he threatened to hire a top-notch set of attorneys out of New York to force this to a federal court or a federal judge. And that's what turned the tide here, is Yormark putting his foot down and saying, I'm going to stand for the rest of the Big 12 Conference. As torn as he may have been, as tough as this decision may have been for Yormark, ultimately he did the right thing in his eyes and in the eyes of the other 15 schools, whether Texas Tech likes it or not. And I can tell you, obviously, Texas Tech does not like it. Oh, stop right there. We can continue the Brendan Sorsby conversation and right here. If you are an everyday listener of Locked On Big 12, by the way, lockedonbig12.supercast.com to be a member of the Everydayer Club and get ad-free Locked On Big 12. Let's talk some more Sorsby. Hey, today's show is brought to you by Odoo. Odoo is the place to streamline. And let me tell you what, as somebody who has of iron in every fire, streamlining is exactly what I'm trying to do. Running a business shouldn't feel like you're trying to connect a bunch of systems that were never designed to work together. That's where Odoo comes in. All-in-one business management software that brings every part of your business together in one powerful platform. From sales and accounting to inventory and marketing, everything works in one place, helping your team move faster. The best organizations know that success isn't about talent. It's about having everyone work toward the same goal. So me and recently Locked On coming together for this 10-year anniversary thing is all about cohesion, the front office to the co-workers, to all of us believing in one thing. And that's the kind of consistency that you want from your company. Great organizations win because operations matter. And that's why you should get Odoo. Try for free today at odoo.com/locked on, odoo.com/locked on, odoo.com/locked on today.
No, they do not. Cody Campbell doesn't like to take L's. I found it interesting that Kirby Hocutt and the president of Texas Tech, in their official press release responding to the news, alluded to the Board of Regent, executive director, essentially maybe he's the chancellor of athletics now, Cody Campbell. They refer to Cody Campbell and his announcement regarding Brendan Sorsby leaving Texas Tech for the NFL supplemental draft. Do you think there was institutional support with the Brendan Sorsby situation? I don't think that Brendan would have gone forward without true institutional support, not just Cody Campbell, but institutional support from the hierarchy, the leadership, the power brokers of the institution.
Yeah, I think in this case for Sorsby and even for Texas Tech, I continue to question. Tech fans keep justifying it with, well, now if you're an athlete, come to Texas Tech and we'll defend you. And it's as if you're saying, hey, if you did a really bad thing and want to get away with it, Texas Tech's the place for you. I don't think they realize that saying that is not helping you. It's probably not the rhetoric you should be spewing right now. Yeah, Tech stood for their guy. They stood up for their guy, and partially because they themselves probably didn't want to be sued by the Sorsby camp for ruling him ineligible or holding him out. I think the moves that Texas Tech made seemed tone deaf to the rest of the conference, and they were fighting an uphill PR battle. And, I referenced this on Westwood One Sports, the Drake Toll show this week. It reminds me vaguely of this Diana Rossini, Mike Vrabel news. And every step of the way, what Vrabel, Rossini, and the Patriots did is just stay silent. No one say a word. It'll blow over. And what was the biggest headline in sports a month ago has by and large faded away. If Texas Tech had just stayed silent, if Cody Campbell could just shut his mouth and Joey McGuire sit in a corner and Kirby Hocutt not say anything, if you guys could just stop for 1 second, maybe this blows over. But instead, the continual PR push, the aggressive rhetoric, the "we are West Texas and we will defy you and this kid will play if it's the last thing we do." They stood a little bit too firm on a topic that most of college football agreed was a sour one, and one that did not deserve this kind of defense. Texas Tech defended it to the nth degree, and that hurts them substantially from a PR standpoint. So I think there are no winners in this, and if you're Texas Tech, you're kind of the double loser. Not only did you fight tooth and nail for something the rest of the country thought was wrong, and now you have the egg on your face because you fought for what was wrong, but also you didn't even land the stud. You didn't land the horse you were fighting for in the end. He just left you. You took a chance on him by countersuing and going through all these steps of supporting his countersuit, and the second that the iron really got hot, he left the kitchen. Too bad you are the chef, Texas Tech.
Crazy times. Drake, where else have you been allocating your bandwidth on your show? I know Brendan Sorsby has taken over the news cycle over the last week, but have you been delving into any other topics that your listenership has loved?
Yeah, that has certainly been at the very top, and even discussions about how Texas Tech fits into the Big 12 conference, because we've gotten, it was the tortilla thing when Tech fans started murmuring about, oh, what if we left the Big 12? Do we need the Big 12? The Big 12, we're better off without the Big 12. And that was something that I know a lot of fans took offense to, as they should, kind of feeling too big for their britches. And Cody Campbell strong-arming Brett Yormark, and Yormark having to come out and make a public statement 6 months ago that I am the commissioner, Cody Campbell is not. Things got really spicy, and so I've had a lot of conversations on my show this week about how Texas Tech grew so fast, and if it was too fast, if they ultimately if they in their mind believe they've outgrown the Big 12 and we're better off somewhere else, or have something different that they can bring to the SEC or the Big 10 that those conferences would like, the Texas Tech and rhetoric around the university have kind of turned away from the Big 12's brand and where they want the entire 16 teams to go. It's a big topic of conversation. Then West Virginia baseball, who is blanking Troy 10-0 and will move on at the College World Series, still on a magical run, and one of the few teams left in Omaha, one of the few teams left in college baseball, and has taken over college baseball as America's team. And still following, the offseason of both BYU and Utah, and they are intrinsically different. I think that BYU going into 2026 is squarely a top 2 team in the Big 12, if not number 1. And while Brett McMurphy of On3 just placed Utah as his number 3 team in the Big 12 in his way too early preseason power rankings, I don't see it. The O-line, the D-line, you were gutted there. You lost your head coach, your OC, your quarterback's back. Yes. I got that. Now what else? And there are studs, there are athletes that will help anchor Utah next season, but I think Utah is overrated, and once again, BYU somehow is underrated in the eyes of the national media.
Yeah, 8.5 is the win-loss total. I think BetMGM put it out there. I know it's sensitive to talk about betting. I didn't bet personally, but are you going to take the over or the under? Where are you slapping here?
Yeah, BYU 8.5. I like the over a lot there. We're talking about the same BYU football team that we're talking about. An 11-win regular season for BYU, and they returned the number 3 most production in the nation again this season. They're bringing effectively everybody back if you ask these metrics. I know they're going to miss a player here or there, a linebacker here, a lineman there, but overall, few schools in the country see the retention that BYU is going to see. I like that the slate opens up with Arizona at home. I think that's going to benefit BYU in a pretty highly touted game. I foresee BYU being a top 15 team preseason. Arizona likely right on that cusp of top 25. You could see a top 25 matchup in Provo on September 12th. Colorado State, a winnable game, a game BYU should win. And that first real test at TCU, I don't trust the Horned Frogs this season. I think you're looking at 5-0 pretty quickly, and that's over half the wins you need to eclipse that 8.5. And then October 17th, it all boils down to October 17th against Notre Dame. And I will be on site. I will be in the house the night that BYU hosts Notre Dame in the year of our Lord 2026, and I'm already geared up for it.
Oh, the Fighting Irish finally coming back to the Lavelle Edwards. BYU thought they had a partner in crime as they wandered the wilderness of the independent wilderness, the desert, and Notre Dame wouldn't give them any love. They did schedule them in Vegas, Sin City, but they did it on their terms. And finally, what do you think changed Notre Dame's mind? Like, I know you've probably done some due diligence and research on this. How is it that Brian Santiago was able to get Notre Dame to come to Lavelle Edwards Stadium after so long? And I guess after Notre Dame said, no, we ain't going to the Pop-Tarts Bowl. We're too good for the Pop-Tarts Bowl. We won't be playing BYU in the postseason. What happened?
Yeah, there's some credit to give to Notre Dame here, which I don't typically give credit to Notre Dame. And historically, they have been the great avoider of competition, and you see their schedule get easier and easier year in and year out. I look at Notre Dame's decision to come to Provo, which again they've avoided for so long, as you mentioned, as in a peace pipe of sorts. What's honor code violation? A palm branch. That's better. That's more appropriate. A palm branch here, Ben, to give to BYU, saying, "Hey, when we skipped that bowl game, it was not because we were scared of BYU or wanted to avoid BYU. We wanted to make a statement toward college football, and to make that clear, we Notre Dame will play you BYU in your house, in the house at Lavelle. We'll go to Lavelle Edwards. We'll play it there, and we'll ensure that you understand this was not about you. We were trying to make a statement to the College Football Playoff Committee, and that we were excited to play BYU. We are excited to play BYU to the point that we will go on the road and do it in your place." What's weird? It's weird that we're at June 16th and they're still going to play. Like I'm any day now waiting for the news that Notre Dame has replaced BYU with Florida Southern State University. But to this point, they're still on the schedule, and it looks like that's going to be the marquee matchup in the Big 12 non-conference slate.
Love it. Drake Toll, ladies and gentlemen, Big 12 Insider here on your Utah ESPN Radio Network, 103.9, 98.3, ESPN The Fan, a little college football segment on Cougar Sports, brought to you by Dental Pros of Utah, dentalprosofutah.com. What do you make of the future of Colorado and Deion Sanders? Do you feel like the momentum has been lost? Do you feel like Colorado will revert to what they've always been, which is a low-tier Power 4 team, Power Conference team? They're going to be fighting for bowl eligibility year in and year out?
I believe in Deion Sanders as a figurehead of the Big 12 and as someone who is valuable to the Big 12 conference and obviously very valuable to what Colorado is trying to build from a money and revenue standpoint. I mean, Deion is his own brand and what he's brought there. And I want to give flowers, respect to Coach Prime for staying there. He's had every excuse to leave. He had a Heisman Trophy winner at Colorado and still stuck around at the university and has to this day led in a way that has helped beef up how America views their brand because they view Colorado as Coach Prime. And previously we'd only viewed Colorado as the team that sucked. They were really bad at football. And while they still are not winning at the level I think he wants to, the fact he has not given up says a ton about him. And we talked last offseason, as he was pretty transparent about his medical issues, that he's like, man, I don't have a bladder. I'm doing all this coaching a college football team and have, depends and a porta potty on the sideline. That kind of resilience from Prime has quieted all the doubters and the haters who said, oh, he'll be retired in 2 years. He'll leave in 2 years. He'll go to the SEC. He's just a pomp and circumstance guy. He has given so much of himself to Colorado, and for what in return, man? Like, his kid is gone. What are they giving him back? This is an act of selflessness that Deion is still there. And does that mean that Colorado will win with Deion Sanders as the head coach? I can't promise that. But Ben, I can tell you this is Colorado will be in a much better spot when he leaves than they were when he got there. And at the very least, it's because of those dollar bills. When he walked in, it was a program that was hemorrhaging money. Their brand was defeated. They had 2 winning seasons in 15 years. He walked in and gave them hope again and raised the GDP of Boulder as a city. Overall, I think Colorado has gotten exactly what they wanted out of Deion Sanders.
Can't wait to see what happens in the future. I mean, it's been dire straits, minus 2016 and obviously the 2024 season. But on average, I mean, they're struggling to get bowl eligible. You got to go all the way back to the, Rick Neuheisel and Bill McCartney days to look at consecutive winning seasons and momentum being built and recruiting being built. I mean, it's going to be tough to replicate. I don't know if even Deion can do it. I'm a believer of Deion. I just don't know if Colorado is the state and it's the institution that's going to be able to retain the talent both in their state and regionally. There's a lot of competition around that state taking a lot of their talent. Yeah,
and that's where for Deion, I think his early recruiting tactics of hitting the transfer portal so hard and then kind of this flashy, I'll put your Instagram handle on the back of your jersey, might be something he'd rethink. And we'll ask him at Big 12 Media Days here in 3 weeks what he feels about his development as a head coach in recruiting, whether it be the portal or the high school ranks. And he's got Juju, that quarterback, 5-star quarterback, still in the fold, so anything can happen for the Buffs. But you're right, he's lost some key recruiting battles and lost recruiting momentum, but it hasn't changed that eyes, cameras. I mean, last year at Big 12 Media Days, he was the last coach to speak, and the entire place was buzzing, just waiting for him to take the stage. And when he did, there was this reverence toward what he brings to the Big 12 Conference. Again, as one of these great athletes of all time, Deion Sanders still carries that kind of allure as it pertains to boosting the Big 12 and boosting Colorado.
Drake Toll, best way to support you, what you do, how you do it for all of our listeners.
Yeah, at Locked On Big 12, wherever you find your podcasts, and on YouTube every day, and the Drake Toll Show on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern Time.
Drake Toll, ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much, brother. Always a blessing talking ball with you. Thanks for hopping on.
Big 12 Media Days, I'm going to see you there. Well, I'll see you there.
A big cougar roar for you as well.
Can you bring me a cougar tail? That'd be even better.
You bet your bottom dollar. I'll have cougar tails in tow, baby. I got you. We'll feed you, and we'll celebrate at Big 12 Media Days, man. Thanks so much.
Always a pleasure. See you, boss.
There you go. That's Drake Toll. We'll take a timeout. We'll be back, though, Cougar Nation.
Good stuff. Good guy. Ben Criddle, ESPN 960. This has been It Always Will Be Locked On. Thanks for making it your first listen every single day. Dose Grande. So every Big 12 team rallied around one idea. We have to stop Texas Tech. You got what you wanted. Is that good for the conference? Are we in a bad spot as a conference now?